Hello everyone and welcome to today's live stream where I'll be going over some of the changes that I've made to the rain trail setup that works on moving and deforming meshes. So with this setup, let me do a brief overview and then we'll get to the fun stuff and make some changes later on. So first of all, I've segmented the parts into the 3 simulation stages, the first one being just the falling brain particles that collide with the arm, and then they delete, but when they delete, they have the attributes so that they can transfer over to the attached particle system. In this case, oh, you can't even see it due to the selection. There we go. Here, the particles are attached to the geometry, and they fall down according to gravity, drag, all that cool stuff. And then after that, we have the system that trails the particles, but the trails are also connected to the surface, which was a lot easier than I thought it would be, and I could have saved a lot of time by just thinking about it in simple math, rather than trying to be like, oh, how do we make each part stick, but also make the trail happen, and yada yada. With all that being said, that's the effect, the 3 stages, and I want to see if I can add in a 4th stage, which is to make these trails, when the fist lands and the impact happens, I want to see if I can make other particles spawn in when that happens that will fall again. So a 4th simulation on everything else. You may be wondering, wait, why do you have 4 simulations running at the same time instead of just do 1 or 2? So just have 1 and then trail one of them. Well, that's just because this is easier to manage. If there's a problem with one, I can easily see if something is wrong. Come on, let's get the selection back up. There we go. It's easier to tell when something's wrong if you just have everything segmented, and the node setups are a bit easier to deal with as well. Because with this one, this is the, oh, the particles are falling, and then they interact, and then they delete or get marked for deletion, as we can see in here. You do a raycast, you say, hey, this one is hit. And if it's hit, you go and snap it to the surface, then the next frame it gets deleted. But with that is hit value, this the attached particles are constantly looking at, right over here. The geometry comes in, it looks for the is hit value. Since this is hit value will only exist for 1 frame, those get ported over to this one. So we're transferring particles from one simulation to another, then that goes along. But then, the particles are then trailed, which this one, pretty simple. We just take the particles in here, we set an ID value so that we can use the points of curves node, because that node is, I really like that node, that's the best node. But yeah, and then that happens. So the stages are pretty simple, if you have them in just general node groups. And also with this setup, we have it so that the particles get joined, the surface offset is applied, which I need to take a look at that. And then the velocity happens and they're snapped to the surface again after their offset. And then the age gets applied, they'll delete if they go above 60 frames. Delta time, in this case, since it's not used, it could be adapted to use delta time. But in this case, I like simplicity. And delta time is just a recipe for things being a lot more annoying than they need to be. And during this stage, like after it's done, that could be a lot simpler. For the sampled surface offset, what you need to do is this setup, where you realize all the instances, obviously, and then you get the geometry from the previous frame, right here, and then you go and capture the offset from the current frame's geometry to the previous frame's geometry. And actually, I should go and label that. That would be good, wouldn't it? Node. So, previous frame, and then there'll be current frame. Oop. And then there'll be current frame. Current frame. Yeah, so current frame, and then previous frame's geometry. You want to have the previous frame because you need to apply the offset to the particles, since they haven't moved yet. So I just go, sample near surface, port that out of there. I do have the old geometry as an output in the group, just in case I need it. But we feed both that into both of those, so that we don't need to have it in each group. It's more efficient that way, to have less simulation zones. Because right now, this setup has 4. Okay. So, what should... oh, right. The plan is, when the fist lands, we can take the difference in or the acceleration, the difference in velocity, and if it goes above a certain amount, we can make it so that particles get deleted from the attached particle simulation, and then get ported into a new falling particle simulation. Which means that they'll no longer be trailed, which is exactly what I want. And yeah, let's try to implement that. So here we just need to find the velocity difference between the current frame and the previous frame. But there is one little caveat, which is that since the surface offset is not accounted for in the velocity, that may be an issue. But, actually, let me think about this. Maybe we just take the surface offset and then get the old surface offset and the new surface offset, and call that a day. That might be a good idea. I may end up doing that. So we can make a group for the surface offset, and then if the old surface offset and the current one, if the difference is too much, we mark it for a will delete value and then pass it through. That sounds good to me. So, I'll be right back because I actually need to save up this file because I did not do that beforehand. Let's see, 4.3, arm rain trails. Oh, but actually wait, before we do that, before we go and start making the new stuff, I want to showcase this on other meshes, because you see I have this very nice car model, very, very complete car model, that I was using for testing. So we're going to go and use this car model and see how it looks on something that's, you know, not a mechanical robot arm. So let's go and do that. Let's take a look. Is it working? It is working, but I forgot to go. Come on, buddy. There we go. So here we can see it is working, but it's a little bit, you know, a little bit much. So let's go and make it so that there's some actual, like, wind, as if the car is speeding by at a high rate of speed. So let's move this over to here, and this will bring up another thing that I may need to change, which wouldn't be too bad. Trail particles? Wait. No, attached particles. Let's go and change the velocity for the attached particles, in this case in the Y direction. Let's do 0.3. Oh, that's looking good. So here we can see that the rain is being trailed. The trails are a little bit long, and there are other things I could try doing, like maybe if I'm ambitious enough, I can merge particles when they get to be too close, which actually, you know what? I'm going to try that right now. Merge by distance. This may possibly be a disaster, but I just want, you know, I just want to try it. It may mess up the ID values, but oh god. Yeah, that's that's a problem. Let's go and fix that. Yeah, so I may need to do something smarter. So I think in this case, this is an issue because the newly merged stuff, the IDs just get discombobulated, when probably what I should do is when two particles get close enough, one gets deleted and one stays. One, like, they get merged, and then they get put in the same position, and then one deletes the next frame so that the trail will be accurate. I think that could work, but in this case, you know, it's probably fine just as is. Let's go and change the simulation a little bit, just because I want to see some different settings. So here we have the fast ones and the slow ones. Let's go and turn up the randomness a bit. I just want to see. Okay, that's looking less like rain, more like little snakes, which we want to avoid the little snakes version. I think it's the length of the... Okay, so there's two things. There's the length of the trail, and then there's... in frames, and then there's the length of the trail in distance, because the faster these move, the longer the trails will be. But I don't know. I think this part is okay. Yeah, it's probably fine. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna go and reset the file so that we can add in the new stuff. File, open recent, let's go. We're back in action. So now let's go and make the system where we get the acceleration from the surface. So let's go in here and make a group. Make a group. Yep, that seems to be good. Good enough for me. And what we're going to do, here, I'm going to just copy this so that's nice and convenient. So with this one, we're going to make it so that we have old surface offset. The name is very long, but I think that's fine. We just take the surface offset from the previous frame. And, oh, but I may need to do stuff to make sure on the first frame that it doesn't glitch out, but we'll worry about that later. We'll do that, so we have the old surface offset and the current surface offset. And then we can take the old and the new, subtract them, or just get the distance. Yeah, we could just do the distance. That'll simplify things quite a bit. Also, sorry if you're hearing all my mouse clicks. My previous mouse started doing phantom clicks, which was very, very annoying, so I had to transfer to my backup mouse, which the manufacturers of this mouse did not think, maybe people want a quiet mouse, rather than one that constantly reminds them that they're clicking every single moment. Just ever so slightly annoying. Actually, let's use a greater than, and then this will be the, like, the is hit value, but we'll name this something different. This will be dislodged. No, that's not a good name. What should it be? Remove. Dislodge. Yeah, that's good. That's a good enough name. We'll do that, and then also we need to delete geometry if the dislodged value is true, so that it will disappear the next frame. Again, order of operations and all that good stuff. Or our order of operations. So that's good. Let's go and reorder a little bit of this. Actually, if you can hear the mouse clicking, now that I've mentioned it, I'm hearing every single one, and it's a little annoying even for me. But if you can hear, just let me know, and I'll, by the time I stream next, I'll have a new mouse that won't be doing that. The surface, old surface, yeah, that should be good. So now those will do that. So this is just, let's see, surface, info, yeah, that's the most, I am not good at names today. Oh, but let's remember to also get surface offset and rename the group input. There we go. So that's good enough, and it's actually saving space because we did a good amount of that. And now we can make a new node group in simulation zone where the particles just fall, just like the first ones. And oh wait, no, I can't feed them back into this one because that would be like a cyclic dependency. Would that actually, no, that's a horrible idea. That would cause a cyclic dependency, wouldn't it, if I tried feeding the dislodged ones back into this system. I almost want to try it, but it's probably a really bad idea. And no, that wouldn't even work either, because it would just, yeah, no. Some of them may just collide back into the system, and then everything would go bad again. Yeah, no, let's do this the normal way. Simulation zone. I need to use my join particles with IDs thing. And if you're wondering why I'm using it, that's so that the IDs are stacked when they're joined. Even, it makes it so that when particles get deleted, the IDs are still consistent. Now, I'm actually not sure how that should be done, if I should hash the value. Oh, also, since I'm still in Blender 4.3, this setup could work in Blender 4.1, which I do plan on porting it to, just because. But if I were to hash the value of the particles, I think that would probably be good. Just so that, we need to make it so that every particle has a unique ID no matter how long the simulation has been running for. And right now I'm just stacking them, which has worked most of the time. But I think in one situation, they've overlapped when some particles maybe delete, get joined, where the trails would mess up. So I'm still not entirely sure, but hashing the value should give, in like 99.999% of the time, a unique ID value. But I'll need to think about that. I'll get back to that later. So here, we have the attached particles. We need to separate geometry, and then join these into there, and then this will be the named attribute, which is dislodge. There we go. Oh, why did... Dang it. There we go. Okay, let's go and select all this. Node, make a group. So now we have another simulation zone. Simulation zone, there we go. And all that is good. Now we just need to do, let's just go and copy the velocity stuff. So, actually, no, let's do it from this one. And then for the velocity, I'm going to have an input so that we can have one control for all of these. And this will be age 3, I believe. I have just one age value because I don't want to keep having to reset it every time I port it from one system to another. Probably a bad idea, but oh well. There we go. Let's move this back, select all this, move it over here. And then connect all this up. And now we can see if the stuff I made actually works. So let's move this over to here. Should be good. Let's see. Let's go and do that, and then connect that over to there. Oh, I need to set the particle radius, but I guess we can see that. Wait. Than that. Wait. I need to use the viewer node. It's all false. I need to actually see the... Oh my gosh. There's too many values. There's too many. That's 0.1? I thought the difference would be bigger than that. Well, then again, it is the difference in velocity per frame in the previous frames. So, yeah. So, yeah, since we're not using delta time, that does make sense. And let's also just cut out... It's working! Or... It is somewhat working, we just need to dial in that value. Let's see. Like a splash. Well... With the... Yep, that part's working. Okay, so it is working, we just need to dial in the values. I could make it so that parts do splash. But in this case, all of the droplets do attach. So I could do that, potentially. We'll see. So now the particles are dropping and all that's working out well. Let's see. Like I got laid off, Ben, but at least now I can focus more on practice. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, practice, well, when you're unemployed, practicing is always good, building up a portfolio. But always remember to put your stuff out there so that people can find you, potential employers. See, that part... It still feels like... Maybe I can make a random amount of them just never dislodge. So the selection I can just make random. And then I can randomize this per frame, so that will always be different ones every single time. So only 0.2 of them will actually dislodge, so that it's not too much. Because I don't want all of them going away on the first run. There is a little issue that I'm seeing, and I'm not sure I'm all too happy about it. Let's go and take a look over here. That one's just falling. Oh, that's why. So one issue with the setup with the trails is that if the droplets go from one place to another, the trails will, accurately trail it. Now that's not an issue if you don't have overlapping meshes. Unfortunately, since I was a genius, these ones do overlap quite a bit. So yeah, those issues just won't happen if the mesh parts do not clip. Or wait, these aren't clipping. Oh wait, no, I know what's going on. I could use the... If I get the normal from the surface, I can use the dot product to say, hey, if the velocity is going, like, perpendicular to the normal, then don't apply it, and that would make it so that on corners like this, they wouldn't try to go down too much. But yeah, I think I can just ignore that for now. like that, and then... Yeah. I'll need to think about that. Okay, and then for other things, let's go and add in, so this part I'm a little bit saddened by, because I need to make the node group bigger. This will be lodged particles. But yeah, on the topic of getting your work out there, I just reckon, like, thing that's helped me the most with getting employed has just been having my work just out there on most social media platforms. Because people will see your work, and even if it's like freelance gigs, people are just looking around on Twitter, well, not so much Twitter anymore, but like Instagram, YouTube, and stuff like that, ArtStation, big one. They're looking around for people who are doing the kind of work that they want. So just posting is helpful. Just posting like what you're working on, what you're progressing at, what you're learning. People are always excited to see what you're working on. And some of them will be willing to spend money to have you do it for them. Let's see. So we have so many components here. I'm still a little I guess we have we have the stages here. How do I make this look good? Because right now it's feeling a little disheveled, which we can't have disheveled node groups. Here we have both. Actually, that looks okay. But I need a velocity input for all of these. So let's do that. Oh wait, let's do this properly. So group input. This will be the velocity, and let's do this for all three. This is gonna be painful. So this won't control the drag or anything like that. I could make it do that. But for now, I'm just going to make it so that's just add. Maybe I'll refactor this later. When did you start using Blender? Probably 8 years ago at this point, when I was just a wee lad trying to make Minecraft animations. And it snowballed. It snowballed. Until I'm working professionally. So yeah, 8 years ago was 2016. Maybe slightly earlier than that, even. But during 2020 is when, during COVID, that was also the year that I graduated high school. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to get a job. At the moment, college was not an option for me. So I was like, okay, let's turn this like side hobby into possibly something that I can get employment at. And during that, I did freelance for maybe 2 years, 1 or 2 years. And then after posting for a while on Twitter and stuff like that, I made some good money off of Gumroad and stuff like that. Freelance gigs were coming in, and then I got my first job working on a game, making shaders and stuff for that. And that lasted, I think, around 9 months. The game was Party. Wow, that was a long time ago. But yeah, that game got delayed and some funny stuff happened with it. But now it's out, and I think it has good reviews on Steam. I haven't checked in on it in a while. But yeah, that was a good first job, and then freelancing for a while, and then I got another job offer, where I've been working there to this day. And then, you know, there's the other big one. Okay. Yeah, so we have it, like, I'm really not thrilled with how this looks, so I'm just gonna try and move the nodes, like, quite a bit. You see me, like, moving the nodes to make them look good quite often, but the thing is that's something that, I don't know, organization is a really, really good thing, and I'm going to keep trying until I actually make this look good. Nope, that does not look good. Okay, we're control-Zing. Yeah, that's the least bad setup for that. And then, like, ideally, if I were to turn this into a product, which I do plan on it, if all goes well and if I have time. Let's see. Like, if I were to turn this into a product, I'm not sure I would have the... I think I may just do a simple one where it's just the droplets forming, because quite often you don't want to have a particle for every single raindrop. So maybe a simplified version, which is just the rain trails on moving meshes. That would probably be a good product. Very simple, just very straightforward. Rather than a system for, like, the 5 simulations we have running at this point. Like, I do like having all the components here, because that is good. But on the other hand, it makes it a lot more complicated when people probably don't need all that functionality. Falling particles, and then we don't need attached particles, because those are... Oh, God. Let's see, let's have this here, and then this will be 0.3 again. We could do... Here, let me just do... There we go. Very strong side wind. Come on, buddy. We're getting that stepping just because that's how frames work. And then we're seeing all the rain bubble up and... Yeah. Which that is how it would work in real life if there was that much wind, but it doesn't look that good visually in this case. So let's set this to be like maybe 0.05. Let's put this up to here. Actually, should I try making the... Here, let's scale this by... Oh wait, the delta time. Let's use the scene time node. You can get the delta time by dividing the seconds by the frame, unless it's on frame 0, because you can't, you know, divide by 0 now. That cool stuff. I forget, is it power of 2, or just do I need to do that? So, negative 9.81. I mean, that looks accurate to me. In terms of rain, so yeah, this is now looking like actual velocity. Not using delta time internally, but externally, the user just sees, oh yeah, that's gravity. That is useful. But it will be, well, a bit confused. Like, the one thing that I keep thinking about is, should I use velocity with delta time under the hood? I know visually for the user, having, like, 9.81 is really good, but... Yeah. Even with Alembics, you can choose between delta time velocity and per frame velocity. Yeah. The only part in this, like, in this scenario, whenever you scale velocity, that also needs to be delta time dependent in order for it to be good. When you know, do like 60 frames versus 24. So yeah, I should be using delta time velocity under the hood if I ever try to make this ultra accurate. But I'm not entirely sure if that's needed at this current time. Okay, let's go and take out the falling particles. Let's see. Sorry for being late. Could you please explain how this works basically? Yes, I could go over that again. So first of all, we have falling particles that go and hit this mesh and then get transferred to the attached particles simulation. And the attached particles then get trailed, as we can see here, which do have some issues because geometry clips and all that fun stuff, but for the most part works fine. And then we also have particles that get dislodged depending on the difference in velocity between the previous frame and the current frame, based on, you know, the surface. So if you have all that, you can get this set up, and then, you know, color all that. Material, let me turn off motion blur. There we go, that's a lot less blurry. Yeah, the water droplet shader is just, you know, it being faded. Like, the geometry is very simple as well. So I will need to fix up a good amount of that, you know, just to make it look good. And in a perfect world where, you know, geometry nodes could do anything, I would do all of this on like a, on a, like, GPU, like a dynamic paint, but on the GPU. I really wish we could do that, but, you know, in this case we have to do on the CPU, and I guess yeah. In this case, you can export this as an alembic, which could be useful in different production workflows. But yeah. Like, fading the alpha does work very well in this case, but what if I were to make it so that I did get... Nah, it being wider does not really look accurate. That does look a bit more accurate. And also, let's see. We could also make it so that the particles just spawn in without them falling. So I can make it so that this object just, like, sweats, which is kind of funny. So let's go and up the amount. So this would be like the product if I were to release it, just making it so that the particles would appear, so that you can have your own visual rain happening. And then you can just have the trails on the objects that you need them, rather than having to set up a rain simulation and then all of that. Because quite often you don't need everything in one go, but we'll see. I missed a few streams. What is this project? This is basically just making rain with trails, because I've always wanted to make this kind of effect. It's like, you know what? Let me just try it. And it turned out to work pretty well. I will need to figure out how to make the trails not do this. I'm a bit afraid that it will be a complex setup, where it's like, okay, we compare the segment length, and if one is disproportionately long compared to everything else, we just teleport all of them to the last good one. But I feel like that would be a pain to do. Because in reality, these parts would split when that would happen. Like, they wouldn't be too far, they would split, and yeah. If this were, you know, a texture effect, you know, dynamic paint on a texture, that would not be an issue. But in this case, it is. And also, if your mesh is, you know, not clipping, or rather, not manifold, but like this arm, you know, rather regular. But then again, if the elbow closes and then opens, then that would happen. Yeah, I need to figure out how to fix that. That is an interesting problem. But yeah. Look at all those fireflies. Coral accumulation. And that's because of the green space reflection slash... Ew. Oh, and we can... Oh wait, no. We want past GI approximation. Or else it'll be probably much worse. Yeah. Never have your roughness above, or the threshold above above 0.5, unless you want a lot of noise. That's the one thing with EV Next versus Legacy, just the screen space effects feel a lot more muddy and blurry than the previous one. Which is unfortunate, but they're working on it. Okay. Let's go and reconnect that part. And I have the instances input in here, just because, you know, it's simpler just to have, you know, your kind of rain droplets right here. Again, if I were to make this a product, should I have, like, all the parameters and stuff like that? Because that would be a big node tree. Which in this case, I haven't even been, I haven't even implemented, panels. So, let's go and switch this out with the car once again. Move the car over here because not going to move the spawner. Let's go and change this so that it is, let's do 7. There we go. Here we can see, there's a lot of particles, so it will start to lag. I'm actually rather surprised how performant this is, because this is always sampling the car's velocity, so everything is sticking, unless, the cache resets. So here, everything is sticking, it's working perfect. Wow, this is solid. It's all just sticking to the mesh perfectly, no matter what you do. Then, you can shake the particles off the car. But yeah, that's working well. Let me go and make it so that it's, use particles instead. Wait a minute. Oh, that's why. Let's set this back to be the car. There we go. That's better. So this is how I kind of see... Like, if I were going to use this in production, I would make it so that the particles would just spawn, and then the rain would be just another effect that would be visual. Because people won't be able to tell, oh, the rain is not matching up with the, millions of rain particles going around. And then you can art direct, oh, how many are there without affecting everything else. There's realism, and then there's, oh, how usable do I want this to be. Let's change this back to our mechanical, but then again, I could make it so that when the particles hit, and then go to the attachment stage, they do have the little, actually, yeah, I could do that. Separate geometry. Let's go and make this the is-hit value. Oh, wait, I forgot. I need to change the age to age 3. Again, I will make it so that they all use the same age value, but that just gets, reset as stuff goes along. But, not right now. Instance on points. And this is not sampling the surface normal, but I could do that. Let's just make that just an icosphere for now. Let's just go and join that. So here, this will make it so that when they do collide with the surface, we can see... Yeah, so that would be the splash part. Let's go and join this part into here as well, so that we can have all the parts going. So there we have all the parts, and then they turn into the trailed particles. I don't know, would that be good? I'm not sure. But it feels like I'm just adding more and more layers to this when, again, a user would not need all 15 layers. But it is cool to see. This is another thing that GPU acceleration would make super fast. Yeah, anything that has to deal with particles, GPU acceleration would make really fast. And what if we had GPU accelerated mesh armature skinning? I wonder if that's even possible in Blender. I was looking into it, and I think it would be possible to implement OpenGL compute shaders, but I'm not even close to I'm not even close... Sorry, my brain. But I am not even close to... Oh, okay, that emoji was hiding a bit of that. But I'm not even close enough to be skilled enough to implement that. Yeah, oh, by the way, Blender is moving away from OpenGL. They're moving everything to Vulkan now, which is one of the reasons why EVNext... Well, no, EVNext still uses OpenGL, I think, but they're working on making it use Vulkan under the hood. Because OpenGL apparently is being depreciated and replaced with Vulkan by the creators of it. I would have to double check on that. But yeah, I think I would need another simulation for the splash particles, I think. Let's see. I got impatient with the particle self-collision, so I decided to switch to C. Oh, like actual coding a node for it. By Q3 of 2024, or Q4 of 2024 to Q1 of 2025, the Blender developers will be looking into implementing lists into Blender, which would fix that particle self-collisions issue where you can only get one closest particle. List would make it so that you can get more than one, have more than one value in a field, or, you know, lists and all that. But also, that would be useful for stuff like, let me move the car out of the way again. Useful for stuff like hair, where the devs are also looking into replacing the old hair system, and making it actually good enough to use in production. Which, in that case, you would need, like, finding out what hairs are close to each other currently. You can do this with the, which one is this? Hair, no. It's operations. Interpolate curves node. This one does use lists under the hood to find out, you know, the neighbors, which here you can do max neighbors 10, 20, however many you want. So that would be the kind of lists thing. I have tried to use this as a workaround to get the nearest particle neighbors by like instancing a curve on the particles, then reading the neighbor info on the spline domain and then doing stuff. But unfortunately, it weights the stuff in a way that you can't really, it's not useful enough for that. But that node is useful when you need to do stuff like guides and stuff like that, so it is good. I just want a usable API for geonodes and add-ons, then people can make stuff like that themselves. Yeah, like that's something I'm waiting for, like the ability to code nodes. Because the developers have said that they won't be implementing a Python node, probably not a C++ node, just because that's probably a security risk. But there is the question of, oh, how far can nodes go before, you know, before they hit their limit? Because right now the limits we're hitting the limits fairly often, like, you know, getting more than one particle in the thing. So I wonder if a kind of scripting node would be a thing in the future. Like there was the function node, which would do math functions, which that I really want that node, but I don't think the community developers working on that anymore. But that would be very useful in many situations, like if you want the user to be able to input functions without having to go inside the node group, stuff like that. That would be very, very useful. Oh, also, that just reminded me. Oh, there's the node warnings now in Blender 4.3. It's like, oh, there's nothing there. I can say, let's use a attribute statistic, or yeah, a domain size. Domain size. Let's say if the point count is less than 1000, then it will show no particles. Then if we do that, and then restart this, we should see... Oh wait, is it not being evaluated? I forget, there's something that you need to do to make it all evaluated and such. Okay, that makes it so that propagates. So here we should see, yep, that error is propagating. But, yeah. That's not reading any... Can I just connect that into there and then... Okay, yep. That goes until there is, let's do 10 particles. That'll go until, wait, why is it not? Oh, is that because I need the point cloud part? Oh, okay. So maybe I don't need to evaluate it. It's just that I set this up wrong. I put it in the wrong node group. Let's rewind and do that again, just on a different thing. Delete that. Over here. I'm very excited for this node because Control-C, Control-V, everyone. It never works the way you want it to, at least with node groups and frames and all that good stuff. Warnings show, and this will be no particles. Let's see if that, oh, let's do, if it's less than 10, then, come on, 10, there we go. Wait, it's still reading as if there is some, am I missing something? Attached particles, yeah, there are no attached particles. Okay, no, it did read. Why is it not reading now? I am a bit confused. This will just be a Boolean value. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong. No, that's not showing. Huh. Am I missing something? Let's put it here. Warning. By default, it's true. So this will just be AAA. We should see in here, yep, that's working. And this can be a warning, or an info, or an error. Oh wait, info. Why is info not appearing? Oh wait, does that have to be an output? If it's just an info. No. Is that bug? Let's make this a Boolean. Okay, where's the Boolean input? Input constant Boolean. There we go. Okay, that works. Info. Maybe that's only showing in the Control-C spam. Yeah, no, I Control-C spammed and it just did not. There we go, okay. So that's working in, oh, okay, maybe it only works in node groups and not in here. But that's, yeah, that part is working. Maybe it doesn't like simulation zones for some reason. And then that's propagating through the entire thing. Okay. Interesting. Oh, I just realized how messy this is looking. Okay, let's go and delete that and delete everything that's rather unnecessary at this time. And let's move these two back. Put in reroutes. Okay, let me read the chat once again. Oh, we're almost at an hour. Okay. I did see Vulkan, but I also saw that it's harder to program than OpenGL. Yeah. I'm assuming that's just because it's much lower level. This would be nice, yeah. Are you a native English speaker? Yes I am. Because something in your voice is so relaxing. Yeah, that's one thing I haven't fully, like, other people have said that quite a bit, and I still don't fully get it. Because the way I talk, it's just with, I live in New England, but I haven't gotten the Bostonian accent or the New York accent. I just get the most averaged, middle-of-the-road American accent. But for some reason, maybe it's my cadence, but people really find that relaxing, which, hey, I'm glad. I'm glad. I think they'd have to make their own language like Vex. Yeah, I think so. Like, the function node, I forget how... I haven't used Vex in depth. But I forget if Vex is like a proper scripting language where you could like generate geometry and do all that, or if it's just attribute based, or wait. The attribute wrangle node in Houdini uses Vex, but I forget if Vex is used in other situations. If you can't tell, I have not put enough points into using Houdini. I haven't been paid enough to use it yet. Meanwhile, geometry nodes is extremely convenient. Okay, I think that's everything for today in terms of this. Like, I'm still, like, I think the simple approach for this setup is better than having, like, all of these simulations. I think just having one where it's water droplets moving down an object would be better. How do you make your frames not look like rectangles? Oh, like these are regular frames, which are rectangular, but here these are zones, which are custom. They're not frames, like they don't move around with the nodes inside of them. They're just there to show what nodes are a part of the simulation zone and which ones aren't. So they are not really frames, just a visual aid. But if there's one thing that I want to do eventually, when I can figure it out, is I want to make these nodes look either more like Houdini, well, either more like Houdini's or more like, here, let me, so that they look like that. So that we can, instead of having stuff like this, it would be a much more harsh fall off, or maybe just like that and then that. Because the Bezier lines, they're okay, but I usually find them a little bit less organized. And then there's the people who just go and use reroutes to make everything 90-degree angles instead. But I've looked at that part in the code, and unfortunately I do not have the knowledge to replace the Bezier function with an angular one for some reason. Like, I looked at it for an hour and I was like, yeah, I don't want to spend more time on this. It's not like it'll be put... It's not like it would be supported by default. It's in preferences. Well, that's whether you want to make it angled or straight. Which, here, let me go and change that. What I'm meaning is, let me go into themes, node at where? Here we go. Oh wait, no, that's the grid levels, node curving. Oh wait, I had that on level 17. Oh, dang it. So, yeah, no, that was a result of my testing. You should not be able to make this go to level 17. That was a result of me messing around with the default settings. Like, straight, I do kind of like, but usually I like it at around, like, maybe this level, where it's still mostly straight, but a little bit bent. Because it just being completely straight just doesn't feel right to me. I like, if it is straight, I want them to be at the, you know, the exact angles. You know, 90-degree angles, rather than just lines going everywhere. Make a lot of reroutes personally. Yeah, that's... I kind of see that as a workaround for not having that option by default in Blender. Like, making node reroute highways is really cool, but I think quite often, like in Houdini, reroutes aren't needed too much. Like, it is satisfying to see a highway like this, but I kind of want an automatic. I want to try, at the very least, making it work automatically. Because every time you add in a node, That's a lot more data that needs to be stored. Just a location and all the stuff regarding that. Okay, I think that's everything. I don't want to prolong the stream too much. Thank you all for watching. This was a fun little addition to the setup. Again, just seeing the particles fall, which is very hard to see because I made the particles so incredibly small. That, and then that. Wait, let's, I want the points in here. There we go. They all just get hidden in the other part. But yeah, that should be fine. Alright. Okay, that's good for today. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time. Have a good one.